Thank you for joining me today with Tuesday's Title Tip. I'm at Chicago Title in Overland Park, and I have Greg Smith joining me today with IPX 1031 to tell us everything we need to know about 1031 exchanges. What's the number one thing that we need to know?
Well, for starters, 1031's been in the tax code since 1921. It's a well-established part of the code, and the basic premise is when you sell your property, if you're willing to roll the money into new property, you can defer your tax bill, kick that can on down the road, and not pay those taxes.
Nice. I like not having to pay taxes. I bet a bunch of people paid taxes on Tuesday last week.
This is a good time to be talking about taxes. People just paid those tax bills, and they like the idea of deferring taxes in the future.
Okay, great. Well, what is a 1031 exchange?
So, let's move on to like-kind property.
Okay.
So, like-kind property often confuses people. They've been told by their advisors, their realtors, their attorneys, their CPAs, that like-kind property means if you sell a rental property, you have to buy a rental property. If you sell farmland, you have to buy farmland, more farmland. Or if you sell, say, an office building, you have to buy an office building. They think that's like-kind. On that, survey says,
Nice.
No, like-kind is much more flexible for real estate, which is great for investors. When you sell business or investment real estate, you can buy any type of business or investment real estate. So it's okay to sell farmland and buy a shopping center, or it's okay to sell a rental home and go buy an office building. You can't buy a plane. That's only like-kind to another plane. That's why the like-kind term exists. So plane for a plane, artwork for artwork, business equipment for probably the same type of business equipment, but it's real estate for real estate, so it's very friendly and flexible when it comes to real estate.
Awesome. Does an exchanger need to reinvest the gain from their sale into a new property?
Yeah, Kelsey, I get that call probably once a week from someone who's been told by their advisor that if they just invest their gain into new property, they'll defer all their taxes. The truth is that's not how the IRS looks at it. They want to pretend nothing has changed. So if you sell a property for $200,000, roughly speaking, you're buying a new property for $200,000. The closing costs and things can come off the top, realtor commissions and so on, but other than that, you need to reinvest all of the funds that come out of the sale. And if you paid off mortgage debt, so say you owed the bank $60,000 and pay that off at your first closing, they want to see you get a new loan of $60,000 or more on the new property so that everything matches up. If everything matches up and they don't see any money going in your pocket from that sale, you'll defer all of your state and federal taxes.
Awesome. That's awesome. Talk to me about what is a qualified intermediary.
Yeah, so a qualified intermediary, or a QI, is something that comes from the Treasury regulations of the tax code. The Treasury oversees the IRS. These regulations say you're required to use a company like ours, a qualified intermediary. We're Chicago Title's sister corporation owned by a Fortune 500 family. And they say you use a company like ours to hold the money until you reinvest it. So if the exchanger sells and touches the money in any way, all their taxes are due. Somebody has to keep them from that money. And yeah, there's quite a bit more to it than that.
Are all of the qualified intermediaries the same?
Yeah, some people think that. They think all QIs are the same because all you do is hold the money. No, let's talk about what else you're doing. We're going to do all the paperwork that keeps the IRS happy. That includes an exchange agreement, assignments of contract, and many other documents that are part of the exchange process. On top of that, we're going to work with the exchanger and their advisors to make sure they understand how everything works. Some exchanges don't work. They tell us they want to sell an office building and buy a principal residence. We have to tell them, you can't buy a principal residence as part of an exchange. It has to be some type of business or investment real estate. So sometimes things come up that don't work, and we're going to let them know about that. But we're going to do the paperwork, we're going to hold the funds, setting up a new bank savings account for their money, and walk them through the process, do everything they need for a successful exchange.
And they do everything. They sign all of the documents, they handle all the money. You guys are a full-class, service-oriented institution.
That's right. And what you want to know about a qualified intermediary is because they are holding your money, think about that. They're holding your money, right?
You have to trust that person.
You better know who's holding your money. Obviously, we have Chicago Title standing behind us. They're this gigantic insurance company that has money set aside for insurance purposes. They're publicly held, which means all their numbers are out there for how they're doing. If they were financially stressed, the world would know. And in fact, they're a rock-solid company that guarantees the safety of the money being held with IPX, which is pretty nice to let exchangers sleep at night. What you want to look for a QI, don't go to a qualified intermediary that wears multiple hats. If they want to do other jobs and also be a QI on the side, that's not what you're looking for. Go to a full-time QI that only does that for a business. Make sure they're a member of the Federation of Exchange Accommodators. That's the trade organization for the QI business. The obvious questions, find out the years in business, find out how many exchanges they handle each year, those types of things. And then look for the other things that are going to guarantee the safety of your money. I mean, we have Chicago Title to guarantee, you're not going to beat that. Do they have a fidelity bond? Do they have errors and omissions insurance? Do they have a third-party guarantee? You know, we have a Fortune 500 company and Chicago Title standing behind us.
Awesome. So when you go to do your first or next 1031 exchange, you should contact Greg Smith at 1031 IPX, or you can call me, Kelsie, at Chicago Title, and I can absolutely provide you with his contact information. I work with realtors and lenders to save you time, save you money, and build your business. And I hope that I've done that for you today, and that you'll close your next transaction with Chicago Title and use IPX 1031 for your next exchange. Thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next week for Tuesday's Title Tip.